Hi, I'm Marquise,
And this is your one and only favorite Taylor.
and welcome to the You Stuck With Me podcast.
You stuck with me.
In this podcast, you get to learn about our relationship, the ins and outs, and everything that happens in between.
Basically went through the sickness and the health, and almost death do us part before we said I do.
And she's stuck with me, I'm stuck with her, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And now y'all stuck with us.
Episode starts right now.
Ain't no woman like the one I got. Oh no, they don't come better.
To make her happy doesn't
Take a lot. She don't ask for things, no diamond rings.
Sewn together like a hand in hand.
Like pages in a letter. Ain't no woman like the one I love.
She can fill me up
Mm.
when it's down. I'm gonna put a little music
Babe.
in my day.
Babe.
Huh?
You gotta go.
But this episode is dedicated to you. And
I appreciate your love and your mystery, and I know you mean well, but we got an episode to do.
That's true.
Fine.
I love you. My favorite.
Yeah, whatever. Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Marquise.
And this is your one and only favorite Taylor.
Welcome back, y'all, for season 9, episode 1 of the You Stuck With Me podcast.
You stuck with me.
Man, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Should never left you like you don't beat the step 2, step.
Okay, I got-
step 2.
I got something to match that.
What's up?
Look, the party's over. It's been a long time, and your fans been missing you. Now let's take it from the top one time and let's get busy. You know where I'm going with
Yeah.
that. Shout out to New Edition.
Listen. If it isn't love, why do I feel this way?
She hitting it with the dance, y'all.
Mhm.
My mind. Okay, now you get me caught up. We gotta do this episode.
Mhm.
Right. Before we start this episode, we want to say thanks to Mono for sending us the microphones. Remember, if you want the best microphone in the world, make sure you get Mono.
It only takes this one mic.
Spread our voice to the whole world.
The #1 best-selling internet microphone
Now
worldwide.
that we got that out the way, let's introduce our guest today.
Go ahead, do just does this.
So we have two beautiful guests today. They are our new homies. We want to say welcome to Diamond and Kristina.
Hey y'all.
How y'all?
Hello.
So
Good.
in this episode, y'all, we're talking. We want to dedicate this one to our wife because we're gonna let them first tell a story. But this is very personal to myself and Diamond as the husband. So you guys take it away. Tell the world about yourselves.
Okay. Well, my name is Kristina, and of course, Diamond. We met on Facebook a long time ago, and then we got married. That's it.
So for our listeners, where did you guys? You say you met on Facebook. So how long ago was this?
I think it was about 15 years. About 15 years ago. And then he slid in my DM at about, 9 years ago? He said he wanted to be my knight in shining armor.
Okay.
You want to tell him? He was doing poetry and everything.
Oh, damn! I didn't know that you're a poet.
Yeah, I was.
So yeah. And that's, now we're here. So we courted for about a year. We courted for a year, but we met for the first time face to face in January of 2017 at the airport, O'Hare Airport. I had a connecting flight. So
Oh
Okay.
wow. Y'all went to the busiest airport. Yeah, that's love.
yeah.
I want to stop and talk about something really fast. I want to put an emphasis on how she said courting, because in this day and age, you don't hear a lot of people say courting.
Nope.
And so, with that being said, we need to break down what courting actually is, because we have a lot of people who say dating and they have one definition of it.
Or
and-
talking.
Yes, but courting is something completely different. So I would say that for us, I would say that I courted you, and I also dated you. So we want to make sure that
Look at you being all professional.
I'm just saying though, because we're gonna
Baby,
say,
ill.
Oh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but what I say with courting is I was moving with intention with you. knowing that I wanted to be with you and only you, making you my lady, my choice, the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. And when I say courting, I really want to specify the fact that I had intentional plans for us. And if you want to court somebody, you have to have an intention behind it. You don't want to waste anybody's time. Can we agree on that one?
Yeah. Oh, they clock it. Clock it.
So, Crystal, what is your? I'm sorry, Christina. What's your definition of courting?
Courtship, because I had some faithful friends in my past, but I knew that's crazy. Okay, but I just knew that he was the one for me. He was my husband, and it was almost as if while we were courting, knowing that this was going to lead to marriage, it was like God was telling him my secrets, because we would get on the phone and I'd be like, this is something I was talking to God about, and then he'll start saying it. Was God telling you my secrets? And,
Yep.
And he told me too. He said, cuffing season was over.
Exactly.
He told me that he was a husband and not a boyfriend.
See?
So you want to talk about that? You want to?
So basically, living intentionally, as you said before, I had been married before, and I didn't want to. I wanted to make my intentions known, and so when I did that, I let her know, and she's like, I was like, you can come to Chicago and we could meet, and she's like, where we meet at? And I said 71st, and where the police station is. I was serious, you know what I'm saying? So, but more particularly serious than that, I gave her my social, right? So I let her know that I was moving with sole intention of being her husband and not her boyfriend.
Yeah, that was the first conversation we had. He gave me his social, his date of birth, and everything, but I didn't scam him. I didn't scam him or anything like that. And so,
That's that old school thing, because my mama used to always say about that. And like, whenever you meet a guy, he can see it if he gave it a social, his actual name, his actual address, and you run it, and it came out. Chorus, right? Or yeah,
And I like how you decided that you want to meet her at a police station.
yeah.
Because no guy is going to have you meet him at the police station if
Right.
he has negative intention.
Right.
So
or he could have been scared of me. So
I don't think he ever was.
You know that part where they ask you, do you feel safe at home when he goes to the doctor? I always look at her, when we're at the doctor's office. So that's
Sounds like something I would have did. I
right.
think I actually did it though.
It worked.
Look at you crazy when they asked me, do I feel safe at home? I think
right.
I wasn't.
Protect something knocked up on door.
So
I wouldn't mess with you like that. Though. So I guess have a very profound and a very special story. So would you guys go ahead and tell the story about what you guys have done and what you guys have overcome as a married couple?
Absolutely. You want to start first, honey, or?
no, you can. That's a powerful question, and I want to think about it while you talking to.
Okay. Okay. So, but let's back up really, really quickly. He was married. I was not trying to get with him or anything like that while he was married. And he actually had reached out to me, to see if I can actually mentor the wife that he was with. And when he reached out to me, that's why I was confused. When he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I want to be your knight in shining armor," and I'm like, "Aren't you married?" But my husband, he's a very private person, so I was like, I sent him a like not a I didn't send him a chat. What do you call it? I answered his question openly on Facebook so people can see it. I'm like, "Aren't you married?" And he's like, "Well, things aren't what they really appear to be." And I'm like, "What the heck is he talking about?" He was like always talking poetically to me. So so then so when we finally talked on the phone, he explained everything to me. He had been divorced for, I want to say, 5 years. And I'm like, "Okay, that's different." because I didn't know. And I'm very open, I put stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. So I was like going through his page constantly, like trying to find like other things to hint that he was still married. But he said no, him and his wife had divorced. He tried to reconcile at least 3 times, but it didn't work. I want to put that on air. His wife actually, well, not his wife, his ex-wife now, she reached out to me probably about a year ago, to ask me to forgive her because she had been holding whatever against me. But like I said, whole time I didn't even know that they had divorced. But she had apologized to me and she felt like she needed to release that so that she can prepare for her new husband. And she had even said that she thanked God that I'm his wife because God knew who he needed.
Can we
Yeah.
let that marinate?
Yeah. Because you don't have
Because you don't often come across that. Right? And I just love the emotional intelligence and accountability
Mhm.
in the healing.
and the heal.
Right.
That's
Very after you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had someone reach out because you got some like super religious folks, and they be like, "You married a divorcee, his wife ain't dead, so like you're sinning." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And even Ice JJ Fish had said to me that I was in sin.
Wait, I'm
The-
sorry.
There's something about the girl him. And I told him,
JJ, I get out of here.
yeah.
First of all, I haven't heard her name in like.
That's like hearing 50 Tyson.
Yeah. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Wow.
he called me out. He called me out. So, but now he's a Christian now. He's saying for the Lord now. He went from something about the girl to something about you, Lord. So, But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Let the church say amen.
amen.
Hey, you delivered.
Delivered. No, that I'm talking about the other.
I know.
You talking about Andrew?
No, I'm talking about the Lord. Yeah, you delivered.
Okay.
See? Right?
Yes. So,
I feel.
but it really meant a lot for me to have her reach out to me, because I was really trying to reach out to her when my husband when he was her husband, when he reached out to me and wanted me to mentor her and just kind of be like a mentor disciple person, whatever, even though they're older than I am, but it's all good. And I don't know, but now we're here today. So that was because that was big for me when it came to guys. When I would meet a new guy and I would say, God, if he's not for me, remove him, And then sometimes God is like removing him and I'm still holding on, even though, again, not feeling that connection, not feeling like the way that I feel about him. It's like it almost feel like, I don't know, even though there's an age difference, my husband's 13 years my senior. It just, I can't explain it. I'm pretty sure y'all can explain. It's like,
Going together like a hand in glove.
yeah, and I understand she cut you off, but but it that's just what it feels like. It feel like we've known each other a long time. And I had a vision or like this dream, and I didn't know people are a prophetess or psychic or anything like that. But while we were courting, I remember having this vision of he and we were walking like on this dark street. He stopped under this street light, like the street light was piercing over his body. I'm a storyteller. And I was walking up to him and I had a blanket. And as I'm looking at him, he had all these holes and he was just dirty and dingy. And I remember taking the blanket and just kind of putting it over him, not really understanding where we would be at today. But it makes a lot of sense, with us both being survivors of sexual trauma, so I don't know if that was like got like a foreshadow of what we would be doing today, but it's just like it's humbling to be here with him now. And but anyway, I'm like all over the place. So in January of 2017, I had a connecting flight from O'Hare to Memphis. Not Memphis.
Minnesota.
Not Minnesota. St. Louis.
Okay.
St. Louis. And that's when we had agreed to meet each other in person for the first time. Because we had been Facebook friends at that time. It was like 8 years. And like, okay, well, if this is what we call ourselves doing, courting or whatever it is, then I mean, it would be appropriate for us to meet up. And it was only 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I was able to get off the airplane and run to where he was, which was near TSA. He wasn't able to come all the way through because he didn't have a ticket. So he was standing there, tall, handsome. He had his hair slicked back like Slick Rick or something. Well, I don't know if Slick Rick got slick hair. I don't know. Whoever got slick hair. And and I remember him having a suit on. He looked amazing. And went up to him. We hugged each other. He kissed me on both cheeks, and he smelled so good. And it almost felt like time had just stopped for us in the airport. Everybody just, and it just stopped. And he smelled really good. Um, and then once we hugged, he kissed my two cheeks. I had to run back across, like to hurry up and get on the connecting flight. End up missing the connecting flight, but they told me that it was another flight coming within an hour, or that I could get on and make it to my destination. So I just feel like even that was ordained by God. So yeah. You want something to say, honey?
I just wish I could have stayed there during that time and just spent it with you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
want to go back to the dream that you had.
Yeah.
And based on what you said, I'm gonna take a stab at it because you guys told us your story. I think that that was God's way of telling you that you were going to cover him.
That's why back in you were gonna be.
You're going to be like covering and be a cover
Wow.
for him.
Yeah.
Wow. What is covering? Well, I mean, we know what that means, but if you want to explain that to us.
So I'm explaining from a husband's perspective. As a husband, it's our job to cover our life, to protect our life, to make sure that we provide for our lives, make sure that they lack for nothing. And that's not just in the monetary, that's not just in physical, but the emotional,
Right.
spiritual, the sartorial, the psychological. Make sure that our life is covered at all times and that she is the best that she can be as a wife and as a person and as a woman.
That's beautiful. For me, it's more of the aspect of as Marquis about being a provider. We are a provider too, but not in the sense of like that masculine, physical and stuff like that. Even though we can do that, yeah. More of like praying over him before he turns out to the world, because the world is a crazy place.
Yes.
Yes, and make sure that the place that he called home is that safe space, that place of peace. Because I always say, and Marquise would tell you, even when we were dating, I said one of the aspects when I'm dating somebody, right, that one of my things is having a safe space. Like I should be able to come home or come to you and be able to, be vulnerable, be open. Like I shouldn't have to feel like I got apprehensive as far,
Right.
with things that's going on with your feelings or anything like that. So I think that's the aspect of covering your feel.
You
Oh,
quick
yeah.
remind me of something I forgot to say. Something very important. Mental. Because with everything that's going on today, it's important for us to make sure that we have our mental right. So if she can come to me and say that she's feeling a certain type of way or something's going on, it's very important for me to stop whatever I'm doing and listen to what she's got to say. Because if I'm not listening to her, we know that the world is not listening. So at least she has a open, she has somewhere where she can vent and she can get ideas and she can get how she's feeling. And if she needs to break down and cry, she can break down and cry with no judgment.
And that goes the same for him as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I told him was, I never want you to feel like that you can't be open to tell me how you feeling. Like, it's something that's like really bothering you, like you on the verge of a mental breakdown. Please let me know.
Right.
Cause I'm not a mind reader. I can sense when something is going on because I've been around you long enough to know your mannerisms, stuff like that. And most importantly, it is okay for you to cry in front of me.
Right.
Right? I don't want you to feel like you got to be macho muscular all the time. Half the time, I don't want that. I want you just to have a list here. But that's
Right.
me.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up because one thing that I learned from her, because and we had this discussion a couple of times, I've learned when she just wants a listening ear, and then she wants feedback from you. Those are two totally
Solution.
yeah, solution. That's two totally different things.
That's
You were saying earlier, and I'm not skipping the topic that you're talking about right now, but I want to go back a little bit. You were saying, your definition of dating, right? I hate that term because it puts me in the mind frame of a woman or a man who dates her and her and her, and the rules are different than courting. Because when you're courting, it's just you and the other person. With dating, it's you and them. So can you explain to me or to the public or to us exactly what you mean when you say the word dating or either courtship?
So I agree with what you're saying when it comes to dating and courtship. In terms of dating, you date multiple people for courtship. You're exceedingly invested in this one person, and then one person that you're intentional with. You have plans for. You they're your biggest priority. You can't stop thinking about them, and it's also reciprocated. So you guys are both on the same page for the most part. And I think when it comes to dating, you just it's like it's a loose term, and you can date different people, and you, it's it's hard to juggle so many people. So when you get tired of juggling different people, but you find that one person that you want to be intentional and move forward with, that's leading you from dating to courtship. And that's important that we be held to two different definitions because we have a lot of listeners who are actually unfamiliar with courtship, but they're really familiar or they think they're familiar with dating and they confuse the two.
Yeah, they do.
right, right. And that's what because right before he made his intentions known to me, my best friends, they had met about a year prior. My best friends, I had liked this guy and I had an idea of who I thought I was gonna be with. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna marry a pastor. He can be a youth pastor, whatever type of pastor. Like, and it was like all these different pastors were coming out the woodworks. And then there was one particular guy that I really did like, but my friends were like, nah, that's not it. So they created me a Christian Mingle dating website or whatever profile. And it was very weird because I had women and men reaching out to me on Christian Mingle. And it's a wild place.
I mean, let's be honest. We do have a lot of people who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community who are
Yeah.
Christian. So who are we
Oh.
to judge?
Okay. I guess I didn't look at it that way.
How could you be both?
Or,
How could you be both?
well, you can be. I mean, I don't think it's an issue of being both. I mean, we're all sinners in one way or another. And if you go back and read the Bible, Jesus type of tax collector.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I guess I didn't think about it that way when the women were reaching out to me. I'm like, well, that's not my preference. I'm strictly guys. So it was very interesting dealing with that. And I even told the guy who was this pastor, and I was like, I like you, but I believe that takes away the I can almost see that as me like proposing to the guy in a sense. I don't know. It was maybe because it was out of order. I don't know. But that's not who God had for me. So anyway, we ended up going to it was a birthday party dinner at a seafood restaurant in St. Petersburg, Florida. And when we were there, it was a server who just took an interest in me. And he kept like winking his eye and giving me my food. Like it was kind of crazy. So when we left the restaurant, one of my best friends had called the restaurant and was like, "Hey, is this server there?" I ain't gonna say his name, but it was like, "Is this server there?" And the manager put him on the phone, and then we talked for a little while. And yeah, then we started a situationship. That was definitely not a courtship. And I want to say probably once I cut him off, I remember being in the bathroom and just crying out to God because I'm like, Lord, I'm hurting, and I had my moments of practicing abstinence, and I was abstaining for like 4 years. And then I met the Jamaican server, chapter 11. But I met the Jamaican server, and it just And even with him, I was just praying. I said, Lord, if he's not for me, please remove him. And this guy, he literally sent me a text message, was like, I don't think this is working out. May the Lord bless your coming in and going out. Because he wanted some poom poom. And that's all he talked about is poom poom. And I'm like, oh, can we say that? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So eventually that it ended up happening, but it was like me feeling like, okay, I'm breaking God's heart, just because of my own personal convictions. And something told me to ask him, which I believe Holy Spirit told me to ask him, are you married? And he eventually told me that he was, but he was separated for like 7 years. And that really broke my heart, because it's like God was like, he sent you the whole message. He even gave you scriptures to say, may the Lord bless your coming in and going out. This ain't working out. And I still was pursuing it. And sometimes we can pursue the things that God don't want us to pursue, and then we get hurt. Now we mad at God. And that was the situation there. And then once I cut him off, I want to say again, 2 weeks later, I'm standing in my bathroom and I'm crying out to God, because I'm like, God, I want some. I want some, but I don't want to break your heart. I don't want to keep going through these situationships, over and over, or running to the health department hoping that I can catch nothing because I'm out here just wow. And I share that because that's a real thing. We're humans, we're sexual beings. And but anyway, 2 weeks later, I'm in the bathroom, I'm crying, and then he reached out to me. He reached out to me, and I'm glad he did.
I want to talk about that. That's like one more. Yeah, because I call it our come to Jesus moment. Right? I know I call it our come to Jesus moment because I had a similar situation
Yeah.
when me and Marquis kept a lot of people. Well, Marquis,
Mhm.
I was actually engaged with me, and it was true. Oh, I'm gonna say his bathroom food because or about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were engaged, and I thought,
Mhm.
all the love boys.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, you get all happy and
Yeah.
that hot pocket feeling about.
Ooh.
I had a lot of hot pockets here. And then it was around time we stopped talking. I was like, you know what, fix the times. I could be for me, right? And also around that time too, my mom had passed. And at this point I hadn't even talked to him like probably like 2 years then, and he's reaching out to me, come out, oh, you know, asking me for some money or something. It was something stupid. And I'm like, my mom's a pad, right? Like, why are you? He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I meant to, whatever. And and it was like I always like I was saying before recording. 2017 was the year's event. 2017 it was part of the other bad. I lost my mom. No, first I lost my grandmother at the beginning of the year. I'll say like 4 or 5 months later, my mother passed. And I just remember wow, after she passed, I had a come to people. I was crying with tears in my eyes. I was like, Lord, hey,
Mhm.
what is it that you're trying to continue to fix? Um, also, I have all the blood to give out. I have all the blood to give. I want to pour and think somebody and know I don't want to be alone. That's like I feel like I put all my love in for all this into my family. Yeah, I'm a family, as I say, winner to be right now. And sometime and no, around that time, BMR people were just friends and he would talk and we have an argument.
Mm.
We still to this day we don't remember what it was. But I remember I said to him, I'm pretty sure it was something like the situation of he act like he was my man but wouldn't want to be my man.
Mhm.
I'm stupid like that. And I remember I told him, well, just don't talk to Gary.
Mhm.
And, you know,
Then I had to come to you. Well,
yeah, because you boss, you'll talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, around the time that my mom was basically on life support, and I had to make the hard decision ever. So, you know, letting her go. And before I even got to that, she was in ICU, and I remember I texted my I said, "Hey, I know we haven't talked well. Now we did my talk. Oh, 2 or 3 weeks, probably a little bit longer.
I think you're about up in 2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks." And I said, "Hey, I know we ain't talking in a while, but my mom is in ICU. I don't know what to do." And he called me, and I'm thinking like he probably got to tell me all of men dude. She like that's not my problem. I'm on my way. Where are you? I'm on my way. And Held and our friend think each other better. They actually stayed me all the way up. And so I had to make that. And even sometime after.
Yeah, I think we were there for about 2 months.
Probably two we learned. Oh, wow. Yeah. Because I was on the verge of losing it. And that's when I had my comedy. I had my comedy moment. I'm crying with in my eyes. I'm like, Lord, I have all the glory for you, and I want to feel but I
Right.
want to feel love. Feel like I deserve it. Even though I'm born small to be saved, I'm born to all the saved. I know you're trying to teach me something out of it. And then, God behold, we and Mark Booth gets together. And, 2017, the year of, I don't want to say unfortunate events, the year of events, Marquise get diagnosed. And a month of the data. But I would say, of course, I would get questions like, what else would you change about? I would say, of course, I would change the fact that it he got sick, but I can't say that because that part was what made us strong, and that's when I realized that that was gonna be my husband because even though he like all the treatments and stuff like that,
Yeah.
going through all the mental breakdown stuff like that, he all made sure that. And couple of times we got married, I said, "Hey, I'm not feeling like my best self. I need to go there. When I feel like I'll be doing injustice to you if we go down the aisle and I'm not 100% best self." Right. And again, he surprised me again too. At this point, I'm so used to like, all girl has the experience I had with God. He surprised me again. He's like, "What?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? How can I be fortunate?" So I was like, "Okay, God, you was listening." Like, okay, I take heed. Heed
You've
again,
been
take
taken.
So, yeah. That's beautiful.
That's inspiring. It's like you are what I would like to be as far as coming forward and telling your partner or people how you feel about yourself. And I haven't reached that point yet because I feel like as a whole we haven't as a couple either because we're so used to helping other people. You know what I mean? And so it's inspiring to me as well.
I will say that I do appreciate that and I receive that. But I will say that it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't. And even with the whole thing with Marquise when he was going through treatment stuff like that. And, now I'm being in the caregiver role and we was a relationship, fresh relationship. And just, you know, being that for him and then also I'm still grieving.
Yeah.
All right. So it was just like going through that. And I fail to say is it's easier for me now, but that takes time. And my advice would be if you're not ready yet, that's fine.
Yeah.
But as long as you're open with the person that you with, because that's one thing I had to learn. I had to learn over with Brian because I'm so used to having a wall up, and I'm like, okay, I can't have this wall up. Like he really intentionally trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
Well, two things. First, I don't think I ever gave you the credit that you deserve when you decide to be honest with yourself before you were honest with me. And you had that conversation. So I definitely want to give you your flowers on that one. Second thing is, I'm glad that you went there because now we can segue into the the meat and potatoes of the episode. when we're talking about caregivers because I guess definitely have a story to tell now. Now our audience knows our story, but we want to know your story. So
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to start? You want
Go ahead.
Okay. So I knew that my husband I knew that he had some challenges. But when we met and when we married, like my husband was still up, he could run up and down a flight of stairs, he was working completely independent. But I knew that he had is something called HS, hidradenitis suppurativa, where it's almost kind of like a combination of, let's say, like maybe lupus, psoriasis, and I think I'm saying it, fibromyalgia. Right. So he was always in chronic pain, constant pain. And at one point, he was taking like 45 ibuprofens a day just to manage his pain. And but yeah, so we ended up getting married. Got married in 2018 of January. We met face to face 2017. Got married in 2018. We did do premarital counsel. I will recommend that or suggest that for those who are thinking about marriage because it helped us to unpack some things and learn some things about each other. Very important. And then you get a discount, when you get your marriage license. So that's really cool too.
That's not that love about her. She's the discount queen.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I went on a shopping spree at Goodwill the other day. So I do. But I want to say because we made our plans. We was like every year because his birthday is close to our anniversary. We're like we're gonna go to, you know, Vegas or whatever every single year. So our last trip together for our anniversary slash birthday was I think that was in 2020. That was in 2020 of I think January. And then boom, fast forward to November of 2020. He was taking what was it, prednisone to help with the inflammation and the pain in his body. And he was on it for like 2 years at a very high dose. He didn't like the weight gain because he's always been a slim guy. Um, so he was just like, I just want to stop taking it. So I tried to help him wean off of it because as caregiver wives, we become like the doctors, the nurse, everything, wound care, everything. So when he did that, it was like his body, because what prednisone does, like this is, I'm not giving medical advice, talk to your doctor, but sometimes what it can do is it suppresses the immune system, and when it's suppressed that long and you have an active infection, we didn't know he had an active infection in his body. What can happen is you get sicker and sicker once you come off of it. So all this time, we didn't even know he was that sick. So November of 2020, he started having pain in his rib cage. And I remember picking him up from work one morning. He was like, I got to go to the hospital. Usually, black men, they don't, they don't like going to the hospital. Right. So when he said that, I'm like, okay, let me take you to the ER. They checked his rib cage and his lungs. And they were like, oh, just put a lidocaine patch on there. And you should be fine. But then I noticed that he kept getting sicker and sicker. Like his highest weight pre prednisone was like about 160. So when he got on prednisone, he was about 180 and he didn't feel comfortable. So again, that's why he wanted to get off of it. And he asked me one time, he was like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but is this how you feel when you walking up the stairs with all this extra weight? I'm like, okay, whatever. Anyway, um, so I noticed from that point on, being off the prednisone, he started like throwing up a lot. He wasn't keeping any food down. He went from probably about 180, then he went down to 170, and he got down to almost maybe 100 pounds.
Wow.
Very weak, legs, everything. And I said, honey, you got to go to the doctor. Like, you have to go. I said, or I need to take you to the ER. I need to take you to the emergency room. He's like, he don't want to do that. With HS, because he found out he had HS, at age 8?
Mm-hmm.
So he had his first, like, cyst on his forehead that had to be cut and drained. And that's what he went through most of his life, of having those cut and drained. And he just didn't want anybody cutting on his body. But I'm like, honey, it's January now. This started in November. So now it's January 2021. And I said, I have to take you to the, because he was like, he couldn't even, he was still trying to work. He was still going to work, but he was just moving so slow. And I started getting afraid to like leave him at work. I'm like, I can't keep you at, I'm like, I want to stay at work with you, but I knew I couldn't, but that's just how I felt. And once he decided to go to the doctor in January 31st, 2021, the doctor said, listen, either I start the paperwork for hospice or you go to the ER. You need to get some fluids. You're dehydrated, because he was eating like bits of food like this per day, like little food, because that's all he could handle. So end up taking him to the ER January 31st of 2021, I'm sorry, 2021. And he had to have emergency surgery where they found cysts the size of like my fist in his legs, in his back, all coming from his HS that had been suppressed for so long with the prednisone. So they had to make, I think it was like 7 different incisions.
Yeah, but let me interrupt you for a second.
Okay.
Um, that's what happens when you go to the doctor finally in a different city, and they tell you there's nothing that we can do. And so that's what instituted the 45 ibuprofen a day. I mean, medicating myself to get past that.
Yeah, just to function.
Yeah,
Just to function.
yeah.
And then he didn't want to be on like anything heavy either, you know. But he ended up having, like I said, several cysts removed from his body. And then I think with that too, he ended up having 3 blood transfusions at the same time. And I'm steady, like, you know, too, like we're looking onto my chart, the blood work, like
Make sure it was all here was all that. Yeah, I get it.
yes, yes.
And let me say this: I had to take prednisone before, so I definitely understand what you're going through or what you went through. I didn't have the same side effects that you did, but I definitely get it when the medication that you're taking does not make you feel well. It makes you feel not like yourself. You're far from
Horrible.
yourself. And
Yeah.
even I'm not trying to make this part about me, but even my little brother, he wasn't around to see a lot of stuff. But from what he was hearing, he was freaking out because he had never seen me in that state. So it was hard for him to even sometimes look at me and say, like, this is my brother. And my parents routinely would have to tell him, like, no, this is your brother. He's just not himself right now. And that's something that is nothing that he could do. He couldn't, it was hard for him to find something to grasp because, like, for his entire life, he's always had this big brother who was just
Yeah.
like there and just strong and just present and just
Doesn't get sick.
and doesn't get because
Yeah.
I never had a history of getting sick. The worst I would have with migraines, but for my brother to see me in that state, it was hard. It was very hard for him to just see that, just take that in.
Right. Right.
But I just want to say I definitely understand with the prednisone and just medication in general because when you don't feel like yourself, you don't want to bother to touch the anyway.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And that was like how your brother was. That's how it was with him. I'm like, this is different. This is scary. Just to see him to lose so much weight. I mean, he's starting to gain his weight back. He's about what, like maybe 125, 130. So we're getting up there. But it was very scary at one point when he didn't want to get out the bed. And I would say, honey, you gotta get out the bed. You gotta move your legs. You gotta do that, or you're gonna lose.
And she said the same thing with me. Like you, I had to learn how to walk again. I had to use a walker. I forgot how long I had that walker. I had it for a good minute.
Wow.
I had it for a good minute. When I was still living with my mom, she would come and visit with me, and we would just. It started from helping me walk from the bedroom to the bathroom, bedroom to the family room. Then eventually went from bedroom to up the first flight of stairs. Then it went from bedroom to second flight of stairs, and then went from bedroom to walking down the driveway, and then went from walking down from the bedroom to walking down the street. And eventually, I didn't have to use the walker anymore, so I was just out, just getting a light jog. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was the very first time you came over to the house, and instead of walking, it was the very first time I was able to go and do like a dead sprint, just run.
Wow.
And if I remember correctly, when I got back to you, we were almost in tears.
I was. That and when I came over, he actually came up the stairs, let me in.
Wow.
Yeah.
And similar to you, I had to have I had to have a stem cell transplant. Now you didn't have a stem cell transplant, but the fluctuation in weight. So I went from 247 to 161 in about a few years time.
Yeah.
And in order for me to even try to get the weight gain and stuff, I was rejecting food too. What was that you know my mom been drink?
Oh yeah. So
Two
guess I should tell you a little illegal activity I did. But I used to work at hospital. I used to work in a rehab facility. Not gonna say no names, but I used to work in food service, so I would bring him insurers and
Sure, that's what it was.
they had this thing called a magic cup, which is like a
Okay.
protein thing.
Okay.
It's supposed to taste like sherbet or vanilla ice cream or chocolate. Whatever. Look, I knew he liked sherbet at the time. He done sherbet cake. I'll bring that. He'll eat that. I'm like, we know, get some weight on. Yes. Yeah.
And you know, one day uh my mom made baked potatoes. So what she did with her baked potatoes, but she put sour cream, cheese, bacon bits, and something else, and I forgot. But I ate it. At that time before I ate it, you could see my rib cage. The next morning I woke up, you couldn't see my rib cage. And I was so happy about it. My mom looked at me and she's like, we're gonna get you some more baked potato because I kept eating it and I kept gaining the weight back. So
Oh.
when I was doing that, it gave me more confidence and made me want to get up and move more and do things like
Yeah,
that. So I
yeah.
don't know if you like baked potatoes, but it's something that, you can try and sure does help. I mean, at first I was
Yeah.
rejecting it because, when you're taking medication, your taste buds aren't normal. So it's not going to taste right to you. But when you get used to it, and it's like, okay, I can stomach this. And so it's gonna help you with your weight gain. You're gonna be able to move around. And I told you once before, you're not gonna need that walking too much longer.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I believe it. I'm at the for you, so eventually you're gonna have to kiss that walk. You're gonna kiss that walking book goodbye.
Kick it goodbye.
Yeah.
They kick it goodbye.
Yes.
I know that thing. You want to say something, honey?
No, I'm just reflecting on exactly what it is he was saying earlier and how we watched one of my friends, like, we used to go bombing with each other, graffiti writing and everything. And we watched him go from like a good 260 to like 130.
Wow.
And he had cancer, but he had a mark on his face. And the doctor told him if you stop smoking, you could, kick this. He didn't stop smoking. So he's gone now. I watched several friends of mine die of leukemia, what I'm saying? Like various different,
That's what I was diagnosed with.
yeah, various different, what I'm saying, strands of cancer. It's like one of my dads, he had just passed from cancer as well. He had in his bones though. That was, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, a lot, and they were testing him for all those different things because it's like after him being in the hospital to get those surgical things, the surgical procedures, all those cysts removed. It's like after that he just kept going back to the hospital, back to the hospital. So it's like I had like the frequent flyer type of thing in the hospital, and kind of got things down packed, learning how to make sure I get a tray too if I'm here, But that's what we went through for several. Nah, I wouldn't even say several months, for a couple years.
Years.
This, and we're finally at a place where, because he got to a point where he couldn't even sit up. He couldn't sit up at all. Like his body would just lay straight flat, like lay straight down, and just not having the muscles, So rebuilding that throughout the time. And then, but we did try at one point, a lot of the meats and stuff. I was making a steak and potatoes and things like that for him. But I know for certain people, sometimes that's very hard to digest. But before that, he used to be a vegetarian, but then that wasn't healthy for him either. So it's like we had to try to find a perfect balance for him. And then he noticed that certain foods make him be inflamed even more. So, but anyway, let me speed up a
I
little
mean, no,
bit.
this is
Yeah.
helpful because for you ladies as caregivers, it's important for our listeners to know what it's like when it's on the other side because we were the patient. Now, I don't want to, I'm not trying to say selfish, say I'm selfish or we're selfish in this, but when we're going through this, we don't have the space to understand what y'all are going through because we're going through what we're going through. And it's not to be mean or, not,
Right.
Right.
not saying that we don't care or malicious,
Right.
but that's just the truth of the matter. And sometimes, and she said, we should tell you, sometimes I've had indirect uh emotions toward her because I was feeling something and as patients, you're not gonna you gotta find out how a person is when they're the patient when they're at their worst. And we had to go through that too. And I don't know if you two had to go through that, but you had to also remember, and she was very good with this. She had to remember, like, okay, he's not his best self because under any other circumstance, he wouldn't have said or done or anything like that. And then there came a point, and you remember this. We had this conversation multiple times. We I After a while, this was like months and years later. We had the conversation where you told me how you felt, and I felt so bad that I started crying.
Yeah, so just to give a little bit more context to that. So that conversation came up. It actually part of the one because I did therapy a few times. Just the long I'm stuck with it. Right.
And there's no shame in
And
it.
it's no
No,
shame.
it's not. It's not. Uh-uh.
At the time I was seeing a therapy, but one of the exercises was to like practice communication with virtual. And that situation came up. And they was like, well, does he know things now that he's far along? I said, no. They was like, well, why don't you try telling him? And then I was like, I don't want to tell him because you're going to feel bad or whatever like that.
And I didn't feel bad.
But then I was like, well, if he wanted to know, and, I just, because my thing about it was I always felt like that Marquise went through a lot and I didn't want to add on to that, which is we're going to talk about that in a minute. I didn't want to feel like I was a burden,
Right.
burden on him because he already went through did that and third. So I had told him, I was like, yeah, you said please stay to me. And he was, at first, it was like he was in shock, but he did deny it.
Mm-hmm.
And he just felt really bad. He was like in tears. And I was like, see, didn't I even want to tell you? But he had to be like, no, I'm glad you told me because it gave me a different perspective how you were feeling in these certain situations.
Right.
And yeah, he felt really bad about it. He apologized profusely.
I did because, like I was saying earlier, when you're sick, you're not your best self. You're not your normal self. Things that you things that you did you wouldn't normally do. So I still to this day I'm still glad that she told me because not only could I sit in it and realize the damage that I had done, but I could also like sit there and take accountability for it and rectify it because up until that point I didn't know that she felt that way.
And I want to clear it up too. I wasn't telling him that to make him feel bad,
Right.
For me to
right?
understand.
For him to understand. And then I didn't want him to blame himself on it because now time has passed, right? I studied it, I dealt with it, you know,
We've dealt with
we dealt with it. And I just knew that he wouldn't have felt that. But again, that took some time and some learning and navigating.
Right. Right.
Two things, right? One is the fact that you told him how you felt about the things that he said to you during that time, right? But let's talk about the reversal.
Yeah.
How you said how we felt, right? Did you ever talk about that with her? Okay, now check this out. The reversal of what you were saying, right? She said horrible things to me during that time. And the only thing I ever said to her was this: you reap what you sow. What do you mean? You reap what you sow.
Cause yeah, I was about to say it was like the opposite. And I had to deal with forgiving myself, asking him to forgive me. And it was like, because of how things were when we first got together, I'm like, okay, well, what are we gonna do now? Like, you need to get up, get out the bed, get out the bed. Not really taking into account like he can't, you know. And we started doing couples therapy because I felt like I literally was gonna like lose my mind. And I had even told him, I was like, well, maybe you deserve somebody better, you know. And then I would tell him also, I said, well, honey, I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I can't do these things. But he had so much faith in me. And I'm like, honey, I can't do it. I can't do it all. Um, and then I think for me too, I felt overwhelmed. I felt I was afraid because when we got together, he was working, I'm working, we got an income coming together, and I'm like trying to figure out like what's gonna happen. And I'm like, honey, are you gonna get out the bed so you can start back walking and stuff, and he gonna go to work? It's been 6 years, so so there are things I had to let go, and I had to come to him, and I had to apologize to him. Even in the times when he was up and well and stuff like that, he would give me when I would drop him off to work. He'll give me 20 kisses when I would drop him off, and 20 kisses when I would pick him up. He would open my door, open his door, everybody door, hold my hand, make sure he's walking on the outside of the street, you know,
Good man.
like all of
Good
those
man.
things. And then the way that he will hug me and hold on to me in the kitchen while I'm preparing something to eat or breakfast after he's worked overnight shift. And I just wish that I would have embraced those moments a lot longer, because we never know what can happen. And I'd be like, okay, stop, stop, stop. You don't have to touch me so much. I didn't grow up seeing affection. So I'm just like, you don't have to do that. But now it's like I sit back and I'm like, man, I miss those moments. Or I feel like I could have held on to those a lot longer. And we just never know what can happen to our spouse. And I was like a drill sergeant. I'm like, you gotta get up, you gotta get up. And that wasn't helpful for him or I. Because I think what happened in those situations, me trying to control the situation, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how many times I say it. If he can't do it, he can't do it. He's going to do it on his time. So to see him progress when he was at Shirley Ryan and other rehabs, and to see him get up out the chair to stand up on his own, like, I'm like, okay, wow.
It's a blessing.
Huge one.
Blessing.
Huge blessing. And that was a time when I got mad at God, and I was crying out to God. I was like, God, why are you doing this to us? But then as I'm looking and seeing the things that he can do now, I'm like, okay, let me pull back a little bit. And even understand, trying to understand, because some of the medications he was on, he started having really bad seizures. He started having really bad muscle spasms. So leading up to, I think that was 21, July 2021, the doctors had said that he had failure to thrive, FTA, failure to thrive as an adult. So they were trying to get him back into a nursing rehab to actually stay there. And he wanted to die at that point too, because he wouldn't stop having muscle spasms. And also in July, I remember us getting home, and he was walking over you keep on like the threshold. He was trying to go to the bathroom, and a muscle spasm hit him so hard to the point where he fell down, and that's how he broke his neck. And because he had already had like the issues with his legs where he wasn't strong enough to like really, he wasn't confident enough. So he's constantly looking down. And I would say to him, you got to hold your head up. You got to hold your head up. You got to hold your head. Like, that's nagging.
You know, I get that because with me, you and my mom were always saying, come on, you gotta get up, you gotta move.
Right.
And sometimes you sometimes you feel like you're the only one who really understands because you're going through it. I mean, now it's easy for, someone not in your position to say. And it's good that, and my wife was good with this. She was always saying, I know it's hard for me to understand. It's easy for me to say that, but
Yeah.
just being able to push you. Sometimes it's not what you say; it's the way you say it.
Yeah. And I was getting ready to say too, a lot of that, uh, a lot of that pushing, it's not just because we don't understand. I know for me, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but
Okay.
you know, you can understand. Like, we see you in the bed, and we know what you're
Right.
going through, right?
Right.
And we all may think you can't get out the bed. Okay, either depression at this point, and we feel like that you're giving up, and we don't. I know for me when I felt that, because I'm like, 'cause again, I'm still grieving at this point,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm like, oh, I'm not about to have another person go to glory on me. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I like, Lord, like, please don't, you know?
But the one thing that she was able to do with me, which did make me feel better, she knew how to make things fun. So she knew how to we would have those conversations, and we still do now. She was like, "Okay, you know what? I don't like." She said earlier, "I don't do this for anybody, so you need to get your ish together because I'm not about to do
I don't
life
say
without."
ish, but yeah, I'm like,
She's like, "I don't do, but I'm not about to do life
I'm
without
not
you."
about to do life without you. I just don't wake up 5 in the morning, go to the hospital, see somebody or whatever like that. The last person I did that with my mom. Okay. So I need you to chill this together because I'm not gonna keep doing this.
Yeah.
And he say I'm funny. I wasn't being funny, man. I was just being straight up. Cause I'm like,
But also, to what you said earlier, she came to me at one point. She said, "Okay, babe, I think I need to go home because for a while she was staying with me and my mom, and she was like, I need to step away. I need to, take some time for myself." I'm like, and I told her, I'm like, okay, because I couldn't expect her to pour into me if she couldn't pour into herself.
Right.
And this is one of the times where I was like, okay, you know what, go ahead because my mom got me by that time. I was actually feeling a little bit better. So I'm like, go ahead, go home, take some time away. We can talk whole home, but you know what? I want you to be better because we're in this together.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those moments that made our relationship stronger, especially since at the time we were still going through COVID. And I actually found this out from one of my friends later on after the fact. One of the things that COVID did, it did two things: either brought couples closer together or it broke them apart. And for us, it brought us closer together because we had already been through some things up to that point. So for us, COVID was just something that made us hold on to each other even tighter.
Yeah.
And so I always want to let her know that she is great. She's been great. And I appreciate everything that she's done. And I always want to let her know that I appreciate everything that she's done because thank you and you're welcome. You go a long way. It is very underrated. And we learned that through our pre-health counseling. And we say to each other every day. Thank the smallest thing. Thank you for making the bed. Thank you for washing dishes. Thank you for cooking dinner. Things like that because we want, like you said earlier, we don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. Next moment could be the last.
Right.
So it's very important to enjoy the small things, enjoy the little laughs. Like we have this little running joke between us. I'll walk into a room, I say, "Hello, Ashley Foot," and she'll say, "What's up, Ashley?" Just little jokes and just make it. It keeps a spark, but it also keeps us happy and just every little thing that we can enjoy, we take the time to enjoy it because time is precious, and we've learned that not just through 2017, I'm sorry, but even now in 2026.
well, this brings me to my next question. So, went through everything in 2017 to 2021. You know, where are we at now? Are we, the state? Like, how are we?
Well, I'm gonna let her answer that, but I wanted to touch base with you as far as something that you were saying before. As far as what I was saying, the reversal, right? Everybody from here to Timbuktu, when they get in the pulpit and talk about um an Abrahamic faith, right? But nobody talks about an Isaac faith. Right? No, no, but and they gloss over it. They're like, "Daddy, where's the calf? Where's the cow? Where's the calf at?" No, see, and that brings me to my other point: how I felt during that time. First of all, every step of her when she got up, it scared me to death.
Wow.
Right, coming toward the room, going away from me, whatever.
That's
Because I was filled with anxiety. One,
wow.
but that's before when I was filled with anxiety, I'm always scared. I wake up scared, go to sleep scared, you know. And when I tell you, I don't know whether you've ever experienced anxiety or not, but mine was on like 25, right? So I'm afraid during that time. And then, because I'm afraid of what she's going to say to me or what she's going to do when she comes into the room, you need to get up, you need to do this, you need to. And I'm just looking at her and I'm like, okay, what could I do to make this situation better? I'm always talking to God. And I was like, okay, just don't say anything. Or if you're going to say something, use my words to say it. Right. And in a nutshell, it was just hard. You know what I'm saying? From a patient's perspective. Um, I never knew, and I still don't, when she's gonna have a good day, when she's gonna have a bad day. So what I do is I pray a lot. I trust God a lot. And even in her morning affirmations, I leave her on her phone, right? I always pray, please be vigilant. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of those kids. Please wash yourself. Please wear plenty of PPEs. You know what I'm saying? When you take care of the kids, because the teachers will, right? So I'm consistently encouraging her to be a better person. You know what I'm saying? Inside of God, not me, not our lives, but for God. You know what I mean? So, um, it was hard though. I mean, and it still is to a certain extent. It's like, I'll give you a perfect example. A couple weeks ago, she came home and I was doing something, and then they have the door open, right? And she's like, it hurt my feelings. And I'm like, no, no. And she's like, I think you should apologize. I'm like, no.
We've
And
had
she was
those moments too.
right. I think you should apologize. I'm like, no. And why? Because you don't care? No, it's not that I don't care. I just don't think that that's something that you should be sad about, right? And then we went on a little bit longer. Stopped talking to me and, laying across the bed or whatever. So I come into the room and I'm like, listen, I don't think you should be, I don't think you should feel sad about that, because if you do, then you're going to feel sad about that a lot of times during our marriage. It ain't like this is an overnight wham bam, thank you, ma'am type deal. You can be sad about that a lot, because I'm not going to have the door open all the time for you when you go home. So what happened today to make you feel the way that you feel? And sometimes the kids get on her nerves. Sometimes people cut her off in traffic. Sometimes, people, that Siri gets on her nerves when when she's in the car with her, stuff like that. So, I'm saying I try to take all that into consideration when I'm dealing with her and her whirlwind of her tsunami of emotions, I should say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was a lot of fear. That's that's definitely the reason why we got into couples counseling, because it was like coming from the perspective of a caregiver, and I'm watching you. I'm watching your body deteriorate. I know how you was before you got sick. Like, that was very, very hard. And then talking with the doctors, making the appointments, still trying to work, trying to figure out like how we gonna make the bills or whatever. But God, He
Made a way.
every time,
Always.
and He
Always.
be reminding me of that. But that's what led me to write Caregiving Through Repressed Trauma, because while you were grieving the loss, I was dealing with a lot of triggers from my childhood. And that led me to him, saying, you need to apologize to me. And he was like, it's people in your life that ain't never apologized to you, who need to apologize to you. And you putting that on me. So that was displaced or misplaced anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I tripping? And God has to remind me, like, listen, there was a time when he couldn't get up and open the door. There was a time when you couldn't even leave. I couldn't leave. I would be at home with him all the time. I quit my full-time job outside the home, found a work
Remote.
from home, remote job while I was on FMLA. And shout out to FMLA, because I didn't even know. I thought that was just for like pregnant women.
No,
I didn't know that.
when I found out
Yes.
about FMLA, you could use it for spouse and something. I like they let.
Yes, yes. I kept using that. I used it and just to make sure that I'm able to be at home, because I'm like, it's easier for me to be at home and work to get him off the floor if he fell. And that was one of the things he prayed for, is that you have a wife that could literally pick him up. And I'm pretty
Carried
I'm
me when I
pretty-
couldn't carry myself.
Yeah. And that's what it turned into. But I think having the whole thing of like a man, he's supposed to be this, he's supposed to be working, he's supposed to do that. But it's like, what if your husband can't work? What if you have to become his hands and feet? What if you have to become his voice? So carrying all of that, and I'm just like, this is hard. This is hard. And I told him, because the times that I would be mean, like, get up, get up, get up, get up. You know, I told him, I said, well, what we can do now, I'll continue to take care of you, but I think you need to be with somebody else that's just a little bit more patient and kind and gentle with you. Because I wasn't at those times. And like I said, getting into therapy together, it really helped us out a lot. And my heart was so broken. I felt like God had broke my heart, because I'm like, we had all these plans, and then not to mention the sex, like Lord, come on, like this is wild to me. But it helped me to appreciate him even more, because like he do send me affirmations every morning, and then before I come home, I have to try to check myself, check my feelings, and see, like, okay, let me take a deep breath. And then sometimes I have to, let me just go into the bathroom first, let me wash my face first before I talk to him, because he has nothing to do with what was going on out there. um and then we come back together, we sit, we talk, we watch movies. uh well, if I don't fall asleep.
I watched the movie. He falls asleep.
Yeah. But
Oh, yeah, definitely.
be knocked out.
I'm not gonna even make it.
Like, did you see that part?
Look, I'm not gonna even make it a one-sided thing, because sometimes I'm the one that falls asleep. So
Yeah, we be tired. We be tired. But yeah, just quickly, he broke his neck, but because he had been very, very weak and looking at his feet, he ended up developing kyphosis, severe kyphosis, where his head was just like this. And I was telling him during those times too, I'm like, if you keep holding your head down, your head is gonna get stuck like that. And it eventually did. And his head got stuck like that. And then when he broke his neck healed, but it healed in a kyphosis. So that was something we had to work on. With his anxiety, the doctors had him on different medications, and I feel like that kind of amplified it, even making him have seizures. So watching him go through that, that was scary. That went on for like 2 years. One time I caught him in the room, because at one point we had to sleep in separate rooms because we had a hospital bed. You can get your hospital bed and stuff like that through your insurance. And I walked in his room, and he was on the floor underneath the bed. And he didn't even remember how he got there. He had a seizure. And it's just like times like that. And I think that was a lot of things that forced me to be so like, we got to do this, we got to do that. And it came off in a way that wasn't
your intent.
helpful. Yeah.
It wasn't the message you were trying to deliver.
And I was scared because I didn't want to lose him.
I told her, you can, you will, and God got you. In the midst of her, just like, throwing fits, I told her just that. Not only that, but I began to prophesy where you're sitting at right now into her life. And even more, you know what I mean? So she ain't finished yet.
Yeah.
And he was even with the very first book that I wrote,
Mm-hmm.
he was editing my book at the hospital. You know, he like read it out loud to me, then I'll read it to him, and he's like, fix this, fix that. So there are things that I wouldn't have done if he had not gotten sick. You know, things I had to teach myself, you know, with publishing and different things like that. The business. If someone would have told me 5 years ago, like, hey, you're gonna open up a business, because he'd be telling me stuff like that. I'm like, we ain't got no money. Like, we got savings, we got money in our savings, you know. But he's been pushing me and encouraging me. But what he had to have surgery on his neck. That was in 2023. But in 2022, I forgot about 2022. He ended up having respiratory failure. So all of his organs was getting ready to shut down because he had developed sepsis, an infection in his blood. And he had been getting sepsis. I was just thinking, okay, well maybe it's not that serious this time. But as soon as he was they ended up taking him to, what's the one hospital that I hate?
Uh,
St.
wait.
Bernard.
Yeah.
St. Bernard. They
The chop
recommended.
shop.
Yeah, I had to go in for
Wait,
a.
did you just call it the chop shop?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's either that or
Yep. That too. Loretta too.
Loretta. Oh goodness.
Wow.
What?
Finding out hospitals have nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know St. Bernard was kind of like the
Mental
hospital for
hospital.
mental people
Yeah.
with mental illness. But it made sense. It made sense. So one particular night I had to go in for a sleep study because I started to neglect my own self. You know, not sleeping well, headaches, just not taking care of myself how I could have been taking care of myself because I was so consumed with him. But what happened, I had to go in for a sleep study. He had got to a point where he was able to stay home by himself. So I'm like, okay, let me go do the sleep study. He called me on FaceTime while I was getting ready to like actually lay down, and Hardy hooked me up to the stuff. And I noticed I'm like looking at a bookshelf, and he's just like, he couldn't breathe. So I had to call the police. I called the police. They sent the fire department out, but the fire department, they couldn't knock the door down without having the police there. So
Mm.
he told me before he FaceTimed me, he told me that he tried to call the police, but they kept hanging up on him. He couldn't speak. And with him having severe kyphosis, I think that was also causing his
Voice box and everything.
yeah, to just cut off. So I'm like, I think I was in Tinley Park doing my sleep study there. So having to rush from there to get home. By the time I got home, the police had already came so they could knock the door down. They had taken him to the hospital. I contacted 911. I'm like, listen, my husband had to be rushed to the hospital, gave them the address. Then they told me he was at St. Bernard. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I
I'm in the lab, but here's your reaction.
I get to St. Bernard and he seemed stable. So I'm like, okay, well, we done went through this a billion times. So you seem like you're stable. They got you on fluids. They done started you on antibiotics. So you seem to be doing well. And right before I was getting ready to leave, I said, you know what? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go home. I gotta rest, thinking that he was fine. But then as soon as I started to say that, that's when his levels started dropping, his blood pressure started dropping. The doctor told us that they couldn't, what he's going through, they couldn't treat him there. They had to send him over to another hospital. So that would have been University of Chicago. But then they said they didn't have any beds. So they ended up sending him to Illinois Masonic. And that was probably the scariest because once he got to Illinois Masonic, they had him in ICU. But then he still seemed to be stable for the most part. But the infection was spreading like increasingly like in his system. But we had a moment. We had a really brief moment where I was like, okay, let me help you eat something. So he was able to eat a little bit. And I remember the janitor coming into the room, and that's why I feel like the janitor is just as important as the CBO. So the janitor came in and we spoke, and I said, I hope you have a great day. Just it's gonna make sense in a while, yeah, in a minute. So anyway, he once my husband ate a little bit, we watched a little bit of TV. I said, "Do you want me to go ahead and wash you up?" He's like, "Yeah." So I started to wash him up, wash up his body. And that's when his body started with like going into convulsions. He started having a seizure. and this time he was getting a foam out of the mouth. So then I'm calling a nurse, I'm screaming for help, and they were telling me, even after the whole ordeal, they were like, "Well, we would have known, we would have came in." I said, "No, you wouldn't have. If I wasn't here, my husband probably would have died." So they realized that
Several times.
several times. Yeah.
And that's when you got, and that's one of the things that you learn through the process about how to advocate for yourself as a patient and as a caregiver too, because Lord knows, as Black people, sometimes the hospitals or the spaces that we in, for some strange reason or another, they tend not to believe us.
Right.
Right. Even the pain level.
Yeah,
Right.
they
They
can't. For some strange reason, in medicine, uh, it's taught that we can take more pain than the average person, and that's just not true in most
Right.
cases.
I mean, we were the test subjects.
Yeah, and you would think that as the test subjects, you would learn that pain is the same for everyone at some point or another.
Right. Right.
It's like when it was like, I think it was maybe like my second time, um, like being in the hospital because of having the spasms in my legs and throughout my body. And it was like, intubate him. And I'm like, no, no. And he was like, okay, so he doesn't want us. So that speaks to the point of you saying to speak up for yourself and to have an advocate as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, like, yeah, that was very important because that time he was able to speak up for himself, but other times he wasn't, and there were a lot of things that he completely forgot because of the medications he was on. Like he was on so much medication, and having to watch him go through that, it was really really hard. And then I'm slowly learning how to back off a little bit. I keep fixing his microphone, but it's like I become like a mother to him, but I'm not his mother. I'm his son, and that's a whole nother topic. But
We get it because
yeah.
she was helping me with the meds that I had because when I first got out inpatient, I think I probably had like 15 different meds, and I had to take them like I was taking like 56 pills a day or something like that.
And I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, we're gonna have to beat you up in there, bro.
And, and like, if her brain was fried looking at it, imagine how I felt.
Right. You feel me?
Right.
But-
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did learn going through the process of trying to get better is always finding something to look forward to.
Right.
So if there one of the things that we did that I enjoyed while I was impatient, it was this show that came on that we watched. It was on Sunday night. It was a Serengeti, and it was with Lupita Nyong'o. She was the one who was hosting it. And so every night on Sunday, we would tune it in, waiting to watch Serengeti, and it just helped make everything better.
Oh, that's cool. Ours is Family Feud at the hospital. Right? Family Feud and Philo PD.
Yeah.
We love watching family. We go so we go as far as to watch the bloopers on YouTube.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do that too. But no, that and what I also had to learn too with me making sure I'm not on 10 before I interact with him was that energy, transference of energy. You know, if I'm all the way up here, he's gonna feel that, and plus he's naturally an empath. So that's very important. But the foaming out of the mouth, I'm screaming for the nurses to come in. They came in, they brought the team in, they asked me to leave out so that they can intubate him. And they forced him in a 3-day coma. He was in a coma for 3 days. And that was scary. It was scary. And I remember praying over him, and I remember the women who was in our lives, MB and Cookie and all them praying over him too, praying for him over the phone line. And I just was like, I really thought that was going to be when I lost my husband or that God was going to take him away. And I just said, Lord, whatever your will be, let your will be done. And once he came to, they began to wake him up after those 3 days. He was just like, all right, well, it was like his body had like a whole reset. Um, his body had like a whole reset where I remember going into his ICU room and he was like, okay, go ahead and get my wheelchair, go ahead and pull the car up. I'm like, honey, you just got out of a coma. You're still in ICU. Like, bro.
Been asleep for 3 days. Didn't even know it.
You know, I always want to ask someone who came out of a coma, what do you remember?
Sleeping. which is the greatest thing in the world to me. Like you said, vacations aren't really vacations, and staycations are the best, right? But the thing being is the fact that I don't want to leave my house today unless we could take our beds with us, because it vibrates, it lets up the feet, it lets up the arms, and everything, and it's just awesome. So I basically want to be the first Airbnb to have those beds there.
Oh yeah, because that was the big thing for us. A lot of that frustration and different things too. Us not being in the bed together. I think it's so important that we're in the bed together. We had to work. We had to work on it. We had to work on that because he's stuck in the hospital bed for 3 years, and we were able to find these beds on. I can't even think of the name of it, but we found these beds on Amazon. They shipped them to us. I put everything together. Like, you become handyman too, like
Yeah.
like all
Hard to
that.
fix some things.
And he believed in me. I'm like, that's crazy. But but when I put those beds up, then that's when he was able to get in and out of the bed a lot easier because he can, make it incline and decline and put his feet up and stuff like that. But I just feel like that was very important. And I threw away our old bed, and I felt like it was so much energy trapped into that energy of me, the times when I would go to bed and I'm crying my eyes out. So it's like full of depression, full of sadness, full of loneliness, emptiness, even memories of like me having him having a seizure and me having to get him out of the bed or having to pick him up and put him back into the bed. Him not being able to get out of bed at all. So it was like the moment that I threw that mattress out, it was just like a whole weight was lifted off of me. And now we're back in the bed together, which is a blessing. We're being able to talk to each other is a blessing. Me being able to share with him the things that's on my heart, him being able to share with me things on his heart. Um it it's it's made our relationship stronger, and then reminding me why God put us together in the first place. And those are the things, because that was one of the things in therapy or talking about. So I said, well, I think our therapist was saying to us, there are different ways that your husband can protect you. It could be something as simple as y'all talking on the phone while you're getting in the car, like taking those moments. And I'm like, you're right, so those little things taught us a lot. So then fast forwarding after the respiratory failure that he was going through, um, he wasn't healthy enough at that time. He was so malnourished that they weren't able to do the surgery on his neck at that time. So it took 2 years before they actually did the surgery. So that was in July of 2023. It was only supposed to be 1 week. They went in, they cut him from the back of his head to the center of his back to break his neck, re-break his neck to straighten it out. And then they put this halo on his head. So he had like four screws in his head, and they had a weight to it. I think 5 to 10 pound weight to try to keep it straight. But after the 9 hour surgery, the next day, because they were coming in doing neural checks, pricking his feet to see if he can feel anything. But at that particular time, I want to say the day after, he couldn't feel anything. So he had became paralyzed from the waist down. And then he started losing his motor controls, like the motor skills. So his hands were like literally like this at one point. So the doctor was saying that maybe I think he was hemorrhaging, but of course, if I wasn't there at the hospital, they asked me, "Well, do you consent to us going back in to try to fix whatever issue it is?" And I feel like, even though I know that it's liable if he was to die, but my husband wasn't able to do it for himself. He couldn't sign for himself because his hands wasn't working. And I just, that's why I kicked myself for the times that I was just like, okay, I'm going home. I'm going home. But I'm glad that I didn't go home that particular night, and I was able to stay with him. I'm not saying I didn't stay all the time. It was just certain days because he was in the hospital all the time, and I was just tired. My body was tired. My mind was tired, but I knew that I needed to be there for him. So anyway, had to sign a consent form. It took him back to surgery, so he's back in surgery for another like 9 to 10 hours for them to try to do. I think they just went ahead and just closed everything up Again, I think that he was hemorrhaging, but the record says something else. Then immediately he started to regain his feelings back in his legs, in his hands, and everything. But then he still had to go through a lot of therapy to get back, you know. But that's kind of like where we're still working on that now. Back in physical therapy again. We're trying to work on things at home. I'm working on my patience, being more patient because I want people to be patient with me. And like I said, the way that I manage my emotions now, I just like, okay, I said, okay, honey, we can't talk right now. Let me go here, go there. He's a texter. So he'll text me a whole paragraph, or not to my whole paragraph, but he'll text me like a whole book about different things. And then it gives me time to sit down and like read exactly what he's saying. Uh, I don't know. You want to add something to that?
Um, Basically, you were saying therapy, and there's no shame in doing it, right? Make sure that they're team you guys, and not just team her, or not just team him. Because the lady that gave us therapy, she was team Kristina all day long. Listen, I told the lady, I said, she's always talking about me coming to bed. And I'll get in there and I'll go. But she has to be in there as well. And I'm just wondering, why doesn't she do that? Right? Because she'll fall asleep on the couch. And the lady
You feel seen right now, don't you?
listen. The lady looked me directly into the screen and said, she doesn't have to. She was Team Christina. I told you.
I told her I was falling asleep on the sofa. It wasn't.
Because she don't have to. Really? I said, okay.
I missed that part. Right? I don't remember hearing that part. But she was the time that you were in a coma. She was praying with me, praying.
I'll say, oh my goodness. Okay. I got you. And like, I began to not confide in her as much. And even when I did, I wasn't listening. Because she'll be talking. Listen, she'll be talking just like the time when she told you you should go to church, right? And she was just hell bent on her being a part of a church, right? And I'm like, okay, we should stop listening to her because she's going off on a little tangent and she's not listening. She's not even listening to you anymore. She's just like church bound, right? I said, okay. But yeah, make sure that she's team, not team.
But she did give, in her both y'all defense, she gave great advice for the both of us. Because one of the things she told me was that when I'm having anxiety, then he's gonna have secondary anxiety. And then it's vice versa. And then we're like feeding off of each other. Our nervous system is just out of whack. So those are things that I learned from her. Other things like when he was he would have really bad panic attacks, but we learned that it was coming from the medication. And then sometimes my erratic craziness
Sometimes.
when I'm just like I'm like I'm having like a freak out or crash out. Um, it was, she would give me exercises to do with him. Focus on something in the room, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, the breathing techniques and different things like that to help calm him down. But him being off of those medications, his anxiety went away. The seizures went away.
Amen.
So.
And then talk about gin and wine and spirits, but they have no idea what's in them capsules. And I'm sure that by you being a caregiver, right? Are you familiar with Suboxone?
That's hard stuff.
Real hard.
That came up in Diddy trial.
Came up in Diddy trial.
It did. I'm just saying. It came up in it, and that's just one of the drugs that they were doing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, they had him on Suboxone.
But that's very, very powerful, is what I'm saying.
It'll take your mind, but I remember when he first, because I started him off with one strip, and then I started cutting it in half because it was just
It's very strong.
extremely strong.
And he wasn't on that. But me working in a hospital, dealing with all these medications, I'm dealing with different type of patients. So I'm like, man,
So, so when I would come home and tell her that they gave me this type of medication, she's already like,
I'm like,
Googling.
stop that. Tell them no.
Right.
Tell them to cut your dosage because you're not about to be out here like some of these patients I deal with. No,
Yeah.
no.
And she had to be there for that conversation. They wouldn't just change it over. This lady tried to give me somebody else's medication one time.
See,
He was in a nursing home. The lady, because I guess once he got out of the hospital, they hadn't sent his medication just yet. So the nurse was like, "Well, I can just give him one of the other patient's medication." I said, "You can't do that. You can't do that." And then it was another medicine. It's very crazy. And then he was on amitriptyline. Again, this is not medical advice.
oh, not the anitriptyline.
Yeah.
That's what I'm taking right now.
Well, everybody's different. His body was different. He would sweat like literally. His clothes, like if he have this on and he's taking that, this would have been drenched.
The
in
bed
sweat.
too.
The bed, everything
Blankets,
from
sheets.
sweat. So I told him, I said he can't take this. Even when he went to a nursing home, I said please don't give him that medication. And that was causing some of his seizures too. So it's like we just got to be very, very careful and very watch and be intentional. And also when our spouses are in a nursing home, check on them, be there, be present. He would have me on speakerphone, and I heard one lady going off on him, and I was like, I'm on my way.
oh, excuse me now.
hmm And I confronted her when I got there, and she like, I didn't say. I said my husband had you on speakerphone, so I know how to channel that behavior
The
where it
lion.
needs to go because I'm like, y'all not gonna mistreat my husband.
Not this. That's what I'm saying. Not this.
Yeah. And with it being COVID at that time,
Mm.
certain times we weren't able to stay at the hospital. But as soon as I was able to do that, when he was at Good Samaritan, that area is just wow to me. But I stayed in the hotel for 2.5 weeks until one of the nurses finally said to me, she was like, "Oh, you can stay here."
Wow.
I'm like, well, I thank God had given us provision because when my husband was working, we were able to save a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like God knew that what we needed when we needed it, the time that we needed it.
Talk about it.
And I'm just like I'm in awe, and that's what helps me to refocus, recenter. Girl, calm down, chill out. It ain't that serious. Just shut up for a second. Cause he like to bring up the scripture about a man being on a rooftop or something. So I said, okay, help me, Lord, help me. But yeah, I mean that's one of our books, Save Your Money, so that you'll know how to save 100,000 dollars,
Hmm.
but how to save $1,000 in 12 weeks.
We
And
need that book. Give me that book today.
I'm reading a book right now. It's by Ronald Blue. It's called How to Master Your Money.
very, very important.
Yeah.
Very important. And that, I think that sums up Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Was something else you want to say?
Somewhat.
You want to keep telling them?
Yeah.
Okay.
That book, as far as that one and many others that she has made already and that she will continue to do, she just doesn't. I mean, even though she can't see it, I've told her several times, I see you the way that God sees you. And because of that, I'm able to breathe life into whatever it is that she's doing. I told her just the other day, I said, listen, the Lord told me, and I'm going to tell you again, whatever you touch, it will always turn to gold. Every single time you do it.
Yes, Lord.
If you put your mind to it, it's going to happen. Believe that. Not only is God saying that to me, but I'm saying it to you too. And everything that I've ever said to her as pertaining to God has always come true. Has always come to pass.
And one beautiful things about wives is that they have the ability to multiply things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No division, no subtraction,
Multiplication.
just multiply.
So I have a question for each of you. So no, I'm no, I guess. So Diamond, let me ask you this. So how do you feel right now? How you feeling? The last few days.
I'm still a bit afraid of her, as every man is, right? A little bit afraid of his wife, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'm messing around more than I'm serious. But um, I feel better about her her business ventures, her mind, me and my mind. I'm glad that God has given me something that I could do for her to help her feel the way that we feel about her as well. So yeah, your turn.
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
I feel I feel better. I feel better. I feel better. And I'm learning again how to just embrace the moment. Embrace the moment. Even when it's me walking him, he hold on to my shoulders or he's holding my hand to get to the front door. You know, I'm embracing the moment of seeing him walk up the stairs when before it would take him an hour to get down the stairs, an hour to get up the stairs. Now it takes him maybe like 5 minutes, getting up and down, up and down. I'm realizing that God's timing is not my timing.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Because it's like me, all that, like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm only stressing myself out. So he let me go and be and do whatever it's going to be to help my mental. And I love that about him, and I'm pretty sure he enjoys his time alone, but we don't let too much time be between us.
I've told her that several times. She'll be like, you need to get out, you need to do this. Listen, in God's time, this will all happen. Not yours, not mine, but God's time. And then she'll quickly tell me in your defense, right? Well, you need to do this. And God's only gonna do so much. And you need to do listen. If I'm doing something wrong right now, correct me. But again, everything in this house is done. Everything in this house is done.
Yeah.
Everything. The dishes, you know what I'm saying? Everything. It's clean for you. You're able to maneuver, you're able to do what you need to do, getting in and getting out. Let's work with that.
Yeah. It'll humble me again because I'm like, you know what? Every time he couldn't use his hands, but now you like, I'll make sure the kitchen's clean so you can come here and cook. I'm like, but I don't feel like I'm like, okay, you know what? You took the time to make sure this was clean. Let me make the meal. But sometimes I end up falling asleep and then he'll cook. Just the simple things. And then even with taking out the trash, like he used to pick out the trash. But then it's like when I was single, I was taking out the trash. So like, take the trash out. So, I've gotten used to those things. I make sure those things are good. We come together with our finances. Um, it's so important that we are a team and that the bad times don't last that long. Just focus on the moment because we don't know when the next is gonna if it's even gonna happen.
Right.
Right.
And the bad times don't even have to last that long. The bad times can come and go as quickly as they came. Because again, it's hard for the devil to operate when you're praising God. You know?
And Christina, we understand that you had your hand in a lot of things, caregiver. So you've written a couple of books. So show us what you got so far. What's a couple of things?
Well, what I'll do, y'all will be very brief, because I do want to read the poll. We do have this here every Thursday night. It's called Bless the Mic Night when survivors speak. Because like I said at the beginning, my husband and I, we're both survivors of sexual trauma. So.
And I like how you have $5 to
Oh.
spend, $10 to sit.
Five, yes. Here in this location, 6636 South Cottage Grove, So 5 to spit. If you want to share your story, you can. $10 to just sit and listen. It's a safe space for all survivors. So I want to put that plug in.
Okay.
My husband has a book here, Broken Men Made Whole. It's a workbook for men. Being broken isn't the end, it's just the beginning. So that's mine.
And you look like you're in very deep thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. He was. And this is the very first book, Suppressed Wounds, Redemption, and Recovery. And that's him and I on our wedding day.
Beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. That's for another conversation. That was fire. Woo! People were leaving because I was taking so long. But we're here. And then I have the caregiving through repressed trauma because sometimes there are things that we're going through ourselves. I was extremely, would you say, extremely defensive at the beginning of our marriage. And I had to learn that I didn't have to be like that with him. But he was the first person that I felt like I was able to defend myself. And I'm like, well, no, he's like, you don't have to do that with me. I'm like, okay, you're right. So I just want to end on a good note with Caregiving Through Repressed Trauma, poem for caregivers.
And you could pick all these books up where?
Amazon, or we do have the ebooks.
No, we're in the Play Store too, right?
Play Store, yeah. Google, you just Google it. You can Google Christina Jones, Suppressed Wounds, Redemption, and Recovery, where people can actually find these things. I actually wrote this and dedicated to my grandmother. I read this at her funeral 2 years ago. Her birthday was March 6th, so not too long ago.
Beautiful. I mean,
March.
Yeah.
That was my mom's birthday.
Oh wow.
The band Stick Deeper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
speaking to that situation really quickly, or if you read the poem, you know, we lost my mom too, and she was her caregiver
Yeah.
before she passed as well. Yeah.
I think that also led to a lot of that erratic behavior too, because I'm like, I was looking at him and he began to look like her because she had liver cancer. They gave her 6 months and she literally lived within 6 months. And watching her body deteriorate that way, and I'm watching his body and I'm seeing his ribs, and I'm like, you gotta get up, you gotta get like drill sergeant, like come on, you gotta eat. Even one time I made him because we were talking about the potato. One time I made him a smoothie. I put boiled eggs in it and avocado.
But the thing about it, those are actually good ones.
It may not taste good.
I know.
But
No, she doesn't taste good at all.
She
But it's
couldn't
actually
make
good.
eggs with avocado, but she mixed it all.
you weren't really eating solid foods like that at that time. So I just put it in the smoothie.
Drink
Like,
this. But see, that's trial and error. You got to get
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah.
So, man,
She did the same thing with me.
avocado, no.
Oh yeah, because she knows that.
Like avocado.
okay, no avocado, boiled egg smoothie.
No, just give me a watermelon and lemon with a little bit of honey.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It is.
And that's good for blood flow for the guys. That watermelon. This is- that and beetroot powder, really good for blood flow. So, any brothers out there, Oh, thank you, honey. So this is titled "Well Done." Your work is not in vain. Doing all that you can to maintain the life of another person who does not have the physical capability to take care of themselves is the strongest power one could possess. I know some days are harder than others, and yet you continue to press nonetheless. In the midst of your pressing, do not forget to take a pause to reset. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Take captive negative thoughts by releasing the spirit of fear of the unknown and find refuge in the one who calms the raging seas, who controls the galaxies and yet has the ability to hold you up in the deepest, darkest valleys. Although you see your loved one's body riddled in pain and you feel powerless trying to figure out what more can you do to help them sustain while you try your best to maintain and not lose faith in the one who cannot in the one you cannot see. Find solace in the fact that he has an outstanding record of winning every victory. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. The great I am knows your frustrations, understands your anger, witnesses the compromises you have had to make along the way while vaguely expressing your feelings by saying, I'm okay. Whenever someone asks you, how are you doing? How are you really doing? The great I am tunes his ear to keep the deep cries you try to hide because you want other people to think that you are fine when you are not. You are secretly yearning for a warm embrace that will hug all of the worry you carry away. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. He sees your efforts within the countless sacrifices you have made. He is aware of the sleepless nights and your thoughts of insecurities of thinking you are not doing something right, as if he placed all power in your hands. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. He is the source of all your comfort. He is the source of all your strength. He is the one who controls both life and death. He is the one who is the lifter of your head. He is the one who sees you. He is the one who uses his heart to collect your tears. He is the one who understands your fears, and what is unknown to you is known to him. He is only a prayer away, so don't delay. Give him the burdens of your heart today. You have been strong on your own too long, and it really is okay to not be okay. The strong tower has the power to carry and sustain you. He cares for you. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. Surrender unto him every battle you try to fight. His power is made perfect in your weakest moment. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Release it, release it, release it. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Your work is not in vain. To the caregiver, well done. You have survived another day. You have survived another weak moment of desperation and despair. You have survived another day of feeling helpless. You have survived another day of what ifs. You have survived another day of beating yourself up. You have survived another day of feeling overwhelmed. You have survived another day of loneliness, wishing that the one who you are caring for really knows that you are there for them. You have survived another day of hoping that the one who you care for knew how much you cared. Again, you have survived another day. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Keep rising, because after every storm, the sun must rise. The Lord has not forgotten about you. Caregiver, your work has not been in vain. Well done. Now breathe. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. This poem is dedicated to every caregiver. What you do is precious and priceless. Be encouraged. In memory of my grandmother, Vera Hodge. Sunrise 3/6/1947, sunset 9/28/23. And to my grandmother, her work was not in vain.
Beautiful woman.
That was beautiful.
At the request of myself,
Thank you.
I would like for you, if you can, to spit the poetry piece "Got Me."
Only you okay? I do, but I think that's the book.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's about sexual trauma. I don't know if that ties into the.
Good. Go here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have to go get it.
Go ahead.
I took the show. We're taking over. We can't take over the show.
It's okay.
Yes, we got. Wow. But he always he think that's that.
She can.
He my hype man. Okay, you got it from her. Yeah. All right. But this one this is a trigger warning. I don't again I don't think okay. You knew. Touching, pulling, tugging, I feel tension in my head. Blackness fills the shades in front of my eyes. Darkness surrounds me. Billows of heavy clouds burst, and the emotional roller coaster goes full speed down each side of my face. I only wanted a warm embrace, but you took the innocence away from me before I could properly speak or write my name. ABCDSEX he tried to do with me when I was 3, then 4, but wait, there's more. This time the he became a she, and I was 5, and she was 12 or 13. Why me? I found savor in addiction at age 5, way before I was found by the Savior who too felt forsaken. But he bled and died for me so I could be set free. But years later, I still ask, why me? And then it's like God is talking back to me. Because as I did say before, we're both survivors. And it's like we came together and now we speak about it together. So it's like God is talking back to me. I did it to show others about my redemptive love, equipping you with the Holy Spirit's protection and power. What he and she and they did is not justified, but I promise if you would only abide in me, I will continue to give you the victory over every stronghold in your life. I am the groom, you are my bride. I am here to help you denounce the delusions of the enemy. I'll give you boldness so you'll never have to hide. I'm here to free you in your mind. I'm yours and you are mine. What we have is divine. As a matter of fact, you are divine and I am the vine. Trust me with your heart. Trust me with your fears. I will forever catch your tears, and your cry is not too far from my ears. I love you. You are precious to me. But God, you knew. You didn't stop it when you had the power to do so. Why me? I wanted to be normal, simple, and live unafraid. Now I have to heal from self-inflicted wounds that I don't seem that don't seem to heal. Excuse me. My reality seems shattered, and I don't even know if this is real. Trying to deal in hope and not be lost in temporary dope. Where is the rope? Where is the rope? Then God says, you don't need the rope. I will hold you, my child. My girl, my daughter, you are me and I am you. You were created in my image. You are me and I am you. I promise you that I will never leave nor forsake you. But where were you? God, you knew. I was there so you could be here. I've been with you before you were implanted in your mother's womb. I was there and I grieved. I hurt with you. I cried with you. I cried the tears you could not release because I knew and know the plans that I have for you. If you did not go through what you went through, you wouldn't have experienced the type of love that only I can give you and through others. Through others, though others will experience my love and know who I am is. Yes, I knew. I knew that all of this would work out for your good and my glory. Daughter, I am sorry. I know, but you knew. Please, Lord, help me to make sense out of all this senseless mess. Please. And God is saying, daughter, take my hand and trust me because when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Isaiah 43:2. You knew. And my encouragement to even other caregivers who may be going through, um, you know, traumas and triggers and different things is like to get the help. Jesus and therapy go good together, you know. you know, you want to say I'm covered by the blood, but you need a little extra help. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm just grateful that we're in this headspace now. So yeah.
That would give it.
Tell me why
Thank you.
that she's dope.
You're dope. You helped me be dope and we dope together.
Yeah,
But we don't smoke dope.
right. Two lines.
So let's give it up for the Jeff.
Oh, praise the Lord.
A
Yes. Yes.
And you still doing
Yes.
anybody.
Thank you. You told the world about it. But it's good.
Yes, you ladies are great.
So to end it, where can I listeners find you all?
They wanna reach out like they so product, but you have some dope content.
Thank you. Thank you. The easiest way is just texting me. Text info to 202-888-7362. Info to 202-888-7362. We're located on the south side, or how Chicago said, out south. 6636 South Cottage Grove, 60637. You'll see us. That's the best way. That's the best way. And we appreciate this time and opportunity. And then let my husband speak. This is first time. So shout out to Mr. He calls himself Diamante Anez. So thank you guys. I'm gonna say
Thank you very much for allowing us to just be able to come together and meet you guys and be able to speak to you and for your consistent encouragement and not just being yourself, but you both being you and just going through what you went through to encourage us that we can succeed in what it is that we're going through as well.
yeah.
So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And shout out to Steve too.
Yeah. Steve.
Hi.
So, got to tell y'all, okay, you're stuck with us now. Stuck with us. Be prepared to come back.
Okay. Okay. There's a whole lot more.
This episode is over. We want to bless you guys for something. So,
Yes, we do.
so Christina, if you could do the honors, we
They just have you been getting up and everything.
and you go ahead and reach in the book bag. We have something for you guys.
Oh, you could just give us that. That's a nice bag. So, we want to bless you to with Stuck With Me t-shirts.
Cool.
So you know you
cool.
stuck with us.
Awesome. Awesome. If it's up, then it's stuck.
Yep. Now, they run a size bigger, so
That's what.
but you got definitely stuck with us.
Thank you guys.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
So, Tom, man, you gonna conclude it how we always conclude every episode.
Yep.
So, go ahead. Do your stuff, Fizzle.
So if you guys want to find us, you guys can find us on Instagram, the app on known as Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. You can find us under U Stuck With Me _podcast. That's on every platform. You can find me on Instagram at my_1. That is M1NE_1. You can find me on, I'm the one who runs the TikTok page. So like I said, You Stuck With Me _podcast. You can email us at youstuckwithme@gmail.com. Once again, that is USTCKWITME@gmail.com. And you can find my final life at.
Well, first, before you go into that, because now you're doing season 9, still skipping it. So, we would love to hear from y'all. So, we're doing a listen letter this season, right? So, we love to hear from y'all, whatever questions, advice, or you just want to share your story. Where can they do that for you?
Once again, you stuck with me at gmail.com. That is USTCKWITME@gmail.com.
You can find me under Queen Points on Instagram and the app fully known as Twitter under Queen Point. That's PO1NTV. Again, that's Queen Point PO1NTV. And also, you want some more behind the scenes footage about my record breaking yards. I get on Marquis' nerves sometimes, and how me and Steve have me heart to heart because it stops me from getting on Marquis' nerves. Under TikTok, that's Queen Points 22. Again, at 3.12.
And once again, this is your boy Marquise.
And this is your one on your favorite Taylor.
I'm kicking off season 9, y'all. We out.
Peace. Hey, come back.
Y'all stuck with us.
You stuck with me.
Peace out, y'all.
Later.